All right, what's up? Welcome to episode 50 of the Mi Duole podcast. Stuart Anderson here with just a short introduction before we hear from the Brintons, Dave and Camille, and co-host, co-pilot Andy Compass joins us here. Dave and Camille share some of the things that make them tick, their background, their history, how they train, how they work with their family and their awesome kids, and all the things that make them as incredible leaders and examples to this team that they are. So grateful for the things that they share, especially their advice about how to do hard things and how this is the way. Did you know that Camille even has it painted on her bike? What is up? I love that. So thankful for the time they spent with us. Hopefully you enjoy this podcast with them. Just a brief plug for the feed. Thankful to have them as a new partner. And as part of that partnership, everybody on the team gets an $80 credit to the feed. All you've got to do is visit our custom landing page from the feed, and you can have access to that $80 credit. If you don't know what the feed is, it's an incredible website for ordering all things nutrition, sports, anything that you need when it comes to food, hydration, vitamins. Just go check it out. We're thankful for them, and as we get more and more teammates that subscribe and are part of the feed, our growth with them also includes more credits. So it's a really fun opportunity from them, and thankful to represent the feed with Mi Duole. So anyway, that's it. Good introduction. Thankful for the Brintons. Thankful for Andy Compass. And hopefully you enjoy this podcast. All right. Bye. All right, everybody. Welcome to Mi Duole podcast. If you're watching the video, I have three beautiful people with me. What is up? Yes. Andy
Good
Compass,
to be here.
Andy Compass, co-host, Brintons as our guests, Camille and David Brinton. Welcome.
Thanks.
Good to be here on this beautiful evening.
Yeah, it's evening. April 28th. It is 8:14 p.m. It's after hours work here. We are working hard to produce content for the Mi Duole team. Just kidding. I don't care. It doesn't
On the clock, man.
Hey, should we talk about the group me today? A lot of great action on the group me with hitting the dyno. I had some
Hitting
good
the
laughs.
dyno, there's so many levels to hit the dyno. It can be you crush the Titan throw. It could be what happens in the bedroom. It could be liking someone's post.
Oh my God. Hey, a couple reminders. I have 50 professional network submissions for guys and gals on the team if they want to connect on a personal and professional level. Everybody always kind of wants to know what the others do for their job. So that's on the Mi Duole website. Pretty cool. Volley is producing kits. So they're in the process. No China shutdown is going to stop USA made Volley gear. So we're grateful to have that in the next couple of weeks. We'll send out a little message of kit pickup so we can
What
see
was Kristen talking about? Black tie kit?
Yeah. She calls the white and black kit the tuxedo kit.
Oh, okay.
I like it. I think it's an adopted word. Like the white tie kit, the black tie kit, same thing.
Like
Good
formal wear. So
Yeah. For today's ride, wear your tux.
Mm-hmm. Any other items of business anyone can think of? No. Andy, are we done with Zwift? Are you ready to get off? You ready to hang it up?
Yeah. I think we should adopt if you don't ride outside, no kudos.
No kudos. Just boycott.
Wait, I just did a 20 miler.
I did, and I gave you kudos. That's my last one.
Did you guys see Sharp's ride?
No.
Yeah.
Today?
100
what? Miles?
He did the 5 dam ride.
Outside.
Yeah.
I think on his new Ventum.
Oh, I bet he took the day off.
He christened. He went out at 1:40-ish and he blitzed a 6-hour.
He just nuked it.
That bike's been baptized, man.
Dang, that is awesome. That was a beautiful Ventum.
Dave Sharp, man, legend.
Felicidades.
You guys, I have some beautiful bios here that you wrote for each other. That was just a last minute idea. Write each other's bios. I hope that was a great marital exercise.
Yeah, it's going to be like the newlywed game. Like, what? You said that about me?
If you don't know the Brintons, I have a short biography for each of them. It'll only take 10 minutes to read each. Just kidding. These are so good. And then me and Andy are just going to explore these bios. We've got some fun questions, but just as a reminder, at the outset, when Chip and I decided to start making these podcasts, the idea was there's so many people, right? You can't ride with everybody. You can't understand maybe the culture of how we run, how we work. So this was kind of a way to meet everybody and learn a little bit about what makes us tick and where we come from. And those to me are my favorite podcasts. We had a great podcast last week with Jeff from Split. And those companies, they're super fun, but these are the ones, these are the ones we love. Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, listening to, stories just from guys you ride with, those are the good ones.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah, you guys have done a good job. It's been the Andy Compass episode I'm just like blown away. Changed my life.
Hey, most downloads of any podcast on the whole system.
Listened,
shut up.
Re-listened.
I keep checking it.
No, but I will say this. I'll jump in and say this. I've never been embraced by a bunch of guys who didn't even know me, but listened to the podcast and they were like, okay, dude, we get you, right? Like it was enjoyable to listen to you. And I mean, the one thing when you get to know anyone, not two-dimensional, but three-dimensional, you get to feel them and be a part of them. It just makes the human element that much more. And so when guys came up and said, loved your podcast, dude, who I'd even met at the Mi Duole camp, it was just like awesome, So I'm with Camille. This is the goods. Like this is the goods.
Fun. Yeah, and if you like somebody, you can just keep re-listening over and over and over. All right, I'm going to read Camille's bio first, and then maybe we'll dig a little bit. Okay, you ready? This is so good.
I don't know.
Camille got so many crowns on Strava, they had to buy extra space on the cloud just to hold them. But seriously, she loves her crowns more than real jewelry. And speaking of real jewelry, her dad is a garbage man that showers her with diamonds, so I don't have to buy her any. I can't tell if we're being serious yet or not. We spend most of our money on bikes and food, two of her greatest loves after me, her husband. I am known around these parts as Camille's husband. I have been the first gentleman of the Relief Society, the greatest honor of my life. Is that that's a great name for what you are.
The
first gentleman.
First gentleman of the RS.
She is a true native of the Valley, born and raised in the shadow of the Wasatch Mountains, graduated from Highland High, then earned a master's of nursing from New York University. She puts her all into everything she does. She has 4 strong children that she loves and serves daily, teaching them that they can do hard things and that failure is a wonderful opportunity to learn and press forward. She's embraced the mantra of Mi Duole Mandolarian, the creed, this is the way, meaning that she is hopeful, full of love, and endures until the end, whether that be the Wasatch 100 or the extremely long church meeting. Ugh. She's been on the podium more than most. When the Masters National Road Racing Championship came to Ogden a few years ago, she ended up on the podium for the Criterum. She's been on the podium at LOTOJA. She's been on the podium for the Tour de Park City, B4K, Tour de Sol, and she's been on the podium for Point to Point. You get the point. She's a big deal.
Oh, no.
More impressive than her podiums, though, is the fact that she's the best wife I've ever had. A wonderful mother, friend to all, a caring nurse, and a delightful cook, and a stone cold killer on the bike. That was great, Dave.
Yeah, baby. That's Camille.
Dave's a good rider.
No.
That was great. Dave, anything to expound on there? I mean, we'll dig in a little bit, but did you get it all?
Yeah, I kind of neglected her running insanity. I mean, we'll get into the Wasatch 100, but she's done marathons and podiumed at some of these trail races down in St. George, and it's crazy. Anyway.
That is fun. Andy, anything there? Anything stick out?
Yeah. One thing Dave didn't mention is the only person she's ever dated has been Dave. So Dave is a comparison of one of one.
No, well, when you're the best, it's like whatever.
Very good.
I think you probably dated some other guys on the team. Is there any like Finn Layson or
Adam Barker?
Numbers,
Numbers.
Mark Barker? All these guys wanted to date her, but I won.
Yes. Do you guys remember the first time we ever met? I was with Barker. We were going up Big Mountain. Do you remember that? Years ago.
See, I thought, yes, I do. I remember you more from Mill Creek when you were with Kristen.
I remember that.
But yeah, I kind of, now that you say that, it was Big Mountain.
Yeah.
Great days to remember. Okay.
Beautiful.
All right, Dave, you ready? You ready to blush?
This one's kind of long.
Dave grew up in Salt Lake City, went to Highland High School.
Go Rams.
Go Rams. He has an amazing father who was and is the ultimate outdoorsman who spent many hours coaching, mentoring, and teaching Dave, his siblings, and all the young men in the Parleys area. He is a legend for many of his epic adventures. Is that your dad? Your dad's.
Yeah, mostly she talks about Ralph in this bio. So
Ralph, very good.
It's supposed to be about me, but it sort of morphs into her crush on my dad, which is kind of weird.
Dave's dad, Ralph, instilled in him a love for nature and outdoors and being active. If Dave was just more like his father, I could love him more and more. Just kidding. That's part. Dave grew up playing football, rugby, wrestling. He played rugby at the University of Utah and went on to play in graduate school at Columbia University in New York. Dave is currently the team doctor for the Utah Warriors rugby team. He spent his youth exploring the Wasatch, rock climbing, skiing, hiking, mountain biking. Every year for his dad's birthday, until recently, they would ride the Wasatch Crest. Dave's an incredibly talented athlete and excels at every sport he does. He ran the 100th running of the Boston Marathon with his dad. What? In 1996, qualifying with a time of 3:08 without much training. Nice. Dave has raced road, mountain, and triathlon, completed 3 LOTOJAs, True Grit 5 times, Ultimate Challenge, Tour Park City, and run several marathons, including Boston and New York. He's been coaching, ride leading, and mentoring NICA with the Harriman team for 7 years. Dave has always chosen to put our family first, the ultimate sponsor for the Brinton clan. He's one of the smartest, most humble, and honest people you'll meet. He is our example, leader, and biggest supporter. You want Dave on your team. That is true. Everyone who knows Dave loves him. It's the truth. That is great. You guys knocked those out of the park.
Hey, thanks, man. The delivery was great.
Well, I've been practicing all day. Well, where do we begin? There's so much. Do you guys want to talk about kind of how you met, where you grew up, and let's go from there?
Yes, if hopefully, yeah, I think I've passed the time limit on habeas corpus or whatever. I'm not an attorney, but but I had returned home from my mission, and the Burbages, Camille's family, had moved into the neighborhood. And so I was a return missionary. I was probably 22, just got back from Brazil. And Camille's older sister was dating my younger brother. And I'm just off my mission. He's like, yeah, come with us. And so Camille came, ended up going to Lake Powell with her family. And it was, oh man, all downhill from there. Man. Forbidden love.
Dang, and Powell.
Hey, Dave, it's better to rob the cradle than the kennel.
Oh my gosh.
It was, oh my gosh. So yeah, literally Camille had just turned 16 and we tried. I mean, that summer was like the summer of love. It was like Grease, all over again. Danny and Sandy.
Nice.
Summer loving
had me up last.
Summer loving. Anyway, so then I was at the U. So, classes started at the U, and I'm like, Camille, you got to do your high school experience, and this forbidden love can't last. And so we kind of broke up in that, in the fall of whatever year, that 94, 95.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we tried that for about 4 or 5 months. And then at Christmas time, we were back together.
That was it.
And so, yeah, it's been, we've known each other since
A long time.
1994. Kind of
Nice.
dated since then.
Yeah, Camille's got a great paragraph here. Camille, you want to expound on it? You dated for sure here. You dated for 3.5 years, and then married your freshman year in the University of Utah.
Yeah, married after my freshman year at the U. Yeah.
Nice. And then 6 years BC.
Before kids.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun before children. We always say, we call it BC, before children.
Nice.
Just adventuring.
Yeah. And went to New York City, got married, went to New York City to Columbia School or medical school at Columbia. Camille finished up at NYU. And then she worked for like 2 years, would take the bus at the midnight. She worked the night shift. So she'd get on the subway like 10 p.m., all the sketchy rats and dudes and creatures of the New York subway, get off Midtown, take a bus across Central Park and work at Mount Sinai. And then 5 a.m. in the morning, she'd show up and I'd wake up refreshed and go to, med school, whatever. And she'd be at home. So New York City was awesome. It was fun. It was hard, but it ended up helping our relationship, kind of relying on each other. And then we came back to Salt Lake and went to California for a year for my training, and then ended up, after that year in California, moved back to Salt Lake, and we've been here ever since.
Nice. Dave, maybe tell everybody what you do for work.
Yeah, I need to fill out that form. I can't do it at work for whatever reason. My Intermountain Healthcare, I'm an employee of Intermountain Healthcare, but I'm a physician that does primary care sports medicine. So this group probably has heard of Russ Toronto. Russ Toronto was sort of like the pioneer of what was happening in the 80s and 90s. He unfortunately passed. Rest in peace, Russ. Anyway, so I do sort of a non-surgical, non-operative orthopedic sports medicine, and love the Dan Mills podcast. He is my kind of guy. I mean, the way he takes care of patients and his philosophy, and he really knows what he's doing. So I would be someone that sees a person, they come in, talk to me, complaining of this, complaining of that. I send them to Dan. Dan fixes them, so he does the real work. I just kind of sit back and say, where does it hurt? Okay, you got tendinitis.
So honest. Such a rare quality. Camille, do you still work as a nurse?
Yep.
Yeah.
I work about once a week. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Will you talk more about this? I mean, you wrote all this stuff down so I can just read it. Will you talk more about your third paragraph here? It's so good. About how you didn't want a road bike, but then you decided a road bike, and then you dabbled into triathlons. Will you talk about that?
Yeah. So after we came back from California, we had always mountain biked. We'd never had road bikes. And I used to always say, I will never road bike. How dumb is that? Why would you ride on a road when there's a trail right over here? And especially in Utah in the mountains, I thought that was crazy. But once we had kids, there's a time crunch. So we took up road biking, and it was just something you could do out your door. And we got pretty into road biking, both of us, and we raced for a while. But I think our true love has always been mountain biking.
If you look at our Strava, like 2013, 14, that's when we first met Andy Compass. And
even 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So I will circle around. So here's how I met Dave Brinton. I had never raced a bicycle before. And in 2013, somebody said, hey, you should ride bikes. And I'm like, I don't think so. I was this tri-dork. I'd done a couple of half Ironmans, and then I launched into my Ironman career, super short. But they were like, hey, you should try bike riding. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know how that works. So this guy says, there's this guy named Dave Brinton.
Oh, no.
And he is a good bike rider, and he belongs on this Infinite cycling team. So I'd never even met Dave Brinton, but because his name was thrown in there, I'm like, sure. So I go to this first race, and Dave's not there. And I'm like, I'm like, where's Dave Brinton? And everyone's like, there's like 18 infinite cycling dudes and no Dave Brinton. So Dave stopped racing. Dave and Camille stopped racing the year I started. So I never got to race with Dave.
Tragic.
I never met Dave. I just magically knew that Dave was the guy. I just like two ships in the night.
Well, yeah, Andy would have beat me at every time I sign up for a race. Then all of a sudden, Andy Compass's name shows up, and then my dreams of podium are crushed. He's just always one step ahead of me.
Very good. Camille, you talk about this, how fun this is, how you say, we talk about Dave on Fridays. I think it's a fun thing to share.
Yes. So Dave has always chosen, well, when he started his career, he chose that he would not work Fridays.
Dang.
It does mean making less money, but I think to him, it's more important that he's with us and our family. So Fridays are our date days, we call them.
That's
and
cool.
we ride together. So for years, Dave and I, Fridays have been
The sacred day.
Yeah, like that's when people ask me to ride on Fridays, I'm like, nah, I'm going with Dave. Everyone knows it's my day with Dave.
You guys know Rebecca Black, that song? It's Friday.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the
I know that. I know that song.
So
That's right.
he basically made that
Friday,
song for us.
Friday, gotta get down on
Down on
Friday.
Oh, that
Party
one.
and party and yeah, party.
So
So
every Friday we wake up to that song.
Yeah, we love our Fridays.
oh man.
Stu,
What?
the Live, Laugh, Love.
You
You gotta live, laugh, love. Live, laugh, love. You gotta live, laugh, love. Live, laugh, live. You gotta live, laugh, love. And live, laugh, love. And love, and laugh, and live, and love, and laugh, and love.
so bad.
That's gonna be like my
We had that on repeat.
that's my advice. Our kids died for that. Some of the best YouTube videos are come from
I might have to include. I might have to edit those into this podcast so people don't
Please.
think we're crazy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Very good. All right. So I want to talk about your family, just your philosophy. So it sounds like your dad, Dave, Silver Beaver, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's a crazy award. Very good. I mean, have you always started with this as like the Brinton family philosophy is outdoor sports, endurance sport? I mean, is that your mantra?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of our in-laws have almost called the Division of Child and Family Services on us because we've taken our kids up some crazy stuff. This one time we went down to Subway, and I think the kids were like 12, 10, 8.
I think it's Coyote Gulch.
No, that we did the
Okay,
Subway. We did
okay,
Coyote
yes,
Gulch too.
Okay, yeah.
But we're going down the Subway, and you need ropes, and you rappel, and you've got rafts, and you got to jump through potholes, and probably people listening have done it, so I'm not going to explain it. But you get dropped off and at the top of Zion, and you come down through West Canyon and some of these other, canyoneering routes. And we, had our kids, and we put them in these rafts, and we float them across these potholes. And as we were climbing out, there was like a ranger who came down. He said, yeah, I heard there was this guy with a bunch of kids, and they're stuck up in the canyon and they can't get out. And we're like, it's not us, as we passed them. But yeah, I think that's been an important part of, having our kids understand, what it is to achieve and set goals and overcome obstacles. And, sometimes you hit a dead end and you have to backtrack, and my kid drops his candy in the pond and then it's gone. And sure, you're like, okay, well, you're going to die now because you have no food. But when they realize, okay, I just dropped my candy, someone else has some, I'm going to make it. And then they kind of learn these lessons of, we're going to be okay if we keep our cool and stay, focused. And, we always talk about cairns, when you're out in the wilderness and you see these rock stacks, and kind of say, hey, look for that next cairn, and that'll lead you down the path. And so we've used just things like that in nature to try to keep our kids
Nice.
grounded.
Camille, how do you keep the like the balance with your kids between like, I'm going to yell at them and force them to go on the ride, or it's going to be fun. Like, how do you make sure that kind of stays that way?
Well, I feel like our second oldest, David, for a while did not enjoy going out. Like some kids, especially our kids, I think they get traumatized when we say we're going on a hike. It's not necessarily a 2-mile hike. It's hiking Lone Peak or Timpanogos or Box Elder, these tough ones. But I feel like David was hard for a while. We would even have to I would go downstairs and literally help him get dressed. But then I feel like over the years, and I feel like the switch went off like a couple years ago, and he would be the first one up dressed, like, when are we going biking? When are we going on this adventure? So I do think, you do have to push him a little bit, but at the same time, we maybe, pushed them a little too much. I don't know. There's a fine line.
Because you can push them to a point where they're like, I hate you and I hate this. And there's been tears, and they tell me regularly they hate me, but
they don't tell you that.
It's more, emotional damage.
And Coach Andy, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's fun to watch them light up when they talk about family, and Dave raises one finger that family is the most important. It's obvious that when you look at that big palmares of stuff that Camille has accomplished, and Dave didn't say all the things that he's done, but it's super cool to see both of them light up when they talk about their kids and their family. It's obvious that their greatest moments are family moments, and they show that in who they are on Strava too. It's a family bike ride around the Porcupine Rim. It's Gooseberry Mesa. It's Angel's Landing, and they've taken their kids on everything that they have enjoyed. And whether the kids were dragging their tails at the first, now they're not, right? Like that's become Brinton family escapades. It's epic. Every time you show up with the Brintons, it's going to be a thing, an epic thing.
Thanks, man.
There's no family I follow more. There's no who else can I follow from your family on Strava? Is there more Pete? Is there
Noah on there?
No, it's not. I don't know. Is Noah on Strava?
I don't think so. I don't follow Noah yet.
I'm sorry, because I look at someone and it's like Dave liked it, Ben liked it, Rebecca liked it, Camille.
You guys are doing $600 a year in Strava fees.
No, we're doing the cheap.
We all do the free.
Okay, good.
We're too cheap for that.
It's our boys' social media. They're not on social media, so Strava's their thing.
That's great. So. I know Ben announced his mission call on Strava. That's
he's on it. Ben's
on Instagram. That's
okay.
Ben is on Instagram.
I got a question there. Did Benny inherit the Blizzard suit, or do I still have to fight you for that?
No, man, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting until I can drop a couple of pounds to go get my suit.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, that was the greatest day of my life.
That was crazy.
The surfing on the table was the greatest moment of mine. Like, you just about broke that table, brother.
When I looked back and saw the destruction in your eyes, Andy, the downtrodden look, I thought, this is how I feel every time you hit the podium and I'm off eating a Dorito on the side.
Dave won the Beckett and Rob custom suit at team camp. Just beautiful. Very, very good.
And he turned and rubbed it in my face. I don't know if anyone saw that. If we had it on video, it was like this.
Subtle.
Hey, let's talk about 2021, just because you guys did a lot of fun things. First, Camille, let's just dive into Wasatch 100. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. I love this first question. How was the decision made? Can you start there? Go, just tell us.
So I've always known I've wanted to do 100 miles. It's kind of been, it's just one of those things I wanted to do something where, something you think is like impossible. I love to be able to push my body to a point I didn't think it could go. So I had run a 50 miler, and I think that was like 2017. And literally the day after I did it, I got called to be a Relief Society president. And I knew I wanted to do a 100 miler that year, but I just knew I couldn't. So after that, in 2020, I had to deal with a lot of really hard things, some deaths, murders, suicides.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed some time to myself and to just, I don't know. So I decided that year that I would put in for the Wasatch 100, and it's a lottery. So I was listening to the lottery, and I started when they got to like number 10. And so I listened to the whole thing of all the people that called, and I didn't hear my name. So I thought I'll go back and listen to 1 through 9. And I was the 9th person who got called. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in for it. So it was, you know, I was excited to do it. And I've always loved to run. I've run since I ran in high school. My parents are runners. So it's just something that I've always enjoyed doing. And I love running in the mountains. It's kind of like road biking, mountain biking, road run, you know, I like to be in the mountains. So trail running is one of my favorite things. It's really fun. So
I swore I would never run after triathlon, after I did a couple of long, stupid events that, hey, let's try this thing. I would never run unless there was a ball involved or if someone was chasing me. So I am honored, or I mean, humbled that you 100 miles, like give us an idea of how much of that 100 you actually ran and the others you actually, like, I'm not going to say walked, I'm saying suffered. Yeah. Like what did you run and what did you just barely hang on?
So some of it, I mean, there's a lot of, so there's, I think 24,000 feet of climbing in the 100 miles. And there's a lot of mountain trails that you cannot, no one is running. It's like, you have to just power hike straight up. So a lot sometimes was power hiking up, running down, and whatever was flat, you'd run. And after, I think about 90 miles, my legs were so bad. The downhill hurt. I've broken my kneecap and I have a bad knee, and that hurt so bad to go downhill. So I had to walk the downhills, and I was running the ups and the flats in the end. But yeah, I would say, you know, you run as much as you can, but a lot of those steep climbs, you just have to power hike. So sorry, one more question, Stu. This is my favorite, is asking this stuff. Nutrition. What did you eat, drink, prepare for? And then what can you not have now? Every one of us has done these crazies. And then like you have a bad experience with a certain item and you're like, I'll never touch that again. Any of those things happen to you? So Dave always says this, I think I have a rock gut.
She's a garbage disposal.
I can tolerate most anything.
Like,
I love
but
that.
you know, I do a lot of goos and gels, what people say upset their stomach, but they don't me. And I put a lot of nutrition in my in my water.
She's got a flux capacitor in her gut, man.
And
Mr.
then,
Fusion.
Mr. Fusion.
Yes. And then at the aid stations, they had food. So I would just eat whatever sounded good. It just depends, you know, if it was potato chips or a peanut butter sandwich or pickle juice, whatever was there, I just felt like eating, I'd eat. And then I would have my, you know, nutrition in my water, and I do goos and gels. So, yeah.
You can be on, you don't have to be honest here. You can say pass. I want to know if you felt like the trade-off was worth it, like what it did to your body physically. Was it so hard on you, or were you like, no, does that make sense? Does my question make sense? Yeah.
Dave did an MRI on my knee before I ran it because I just wanted to know how bad my arthritis was in my knee.
Yeah. And
Dave would probably say, I mean, I knew it wasn't going to get better. So this was my chance to do it before it got worse. And I bet my knee I can't really run. I think my long distance running career is over. So, but I never would have been able to do that 100 miler if I would have waited any longer. So cool. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. I did do it once and be done. And some people do that and like hit chronic fatigue and they never really recover and they stop, you know, so it's worth it, I think.
I would do it again if my body would let me do it again. It was awesome. Yeah.
Was the training awesome, or was the race awesome?
I always think with all races, my favorite part is the training. It's the miles with friends and by myself and those experiences. And I loved the races that I did especially Tusher, leading up to this. You know, I did some races to lead up to the 100 to prepare me. I love the training. That's some of my favorite, you know, parts of training for races is the training, not the race. I mean, of course I love the race, but I look back on the memories and the miles training and I love that.
Yeah. Last question on Wasatch, unless Andy, you've got some more, maybe.
I might have one. Go ahead.
I just want to know lessons learned, Camille. Like you walked away from that and you were like, yep.
Well, one thing that I don't know if I've learned, but I think it's a lesson that doing these long endurance things, so I've learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's what, you know, it's just amazing how you can push your body to those certain points and be okay and learn to be okay. Like this seems hard, but I can keep going and I will survive. So, but it was amazing. Yeah.
Dave, did you see her on the course? Did you run it all with her?
No, I did meet her at the top of Big Mountain and then at Lambs Canyon and then at Soldier Hollow. So, and it was one of those classic Wasatch weekends where super hot in the morning, super hot during the day, rainstorm, lightning.
Oh, that's right.
Darkness through the night, you know, wind. So, I mean, she went through the whole gamut. But I mostly slept in my comfortable bed.
Benjamin did 17 miles with me.
Nice.
Which was awesome. That was really fun to have him pace me.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And she did have some good, you should shout out to your friends.
Yes. I had Jill, I had Amanda, yeah, and Amber helped me. Yeah, they were awesome.
Very
shout
cool.
out to those gals.
Yes.
That running crews, they're legit.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I was just going to add, so when the times got dark, you had people with you, or you had like mementos from people, given from people. Talk about how supportive, so I've done races where I didn't involve family and they were very hollow results. And then I had races where I involved family and they were my oxygen, right? So tell us about the people, not necessarily people, but mementos and family, how supportive they were of you, because you just can't do this without support. And Dave in his comfortable bed was such a support to you.
No, I had amazing supporters. And I feel like my really good friend, Sandra, who had gone through really hard things, you know, that I'd been with her through some hard things in 2020. She gave me a little pin that had, you know, the dark and the light, like, and she told me before I did the race that, you know, there's a story that light always wins. Anyway, and you think about those things as you run, you know, and I knew my family was supporting me. And one of my favorite things was coming to the finish line and seeing Dave and my family and seeing my really good friend that we'd gone through hard things together. And, you know, it's fun to think of, I mean, when I'm doing races, I like to think about, you know, other people who are dealing with hard things that, you know, can't be doing this, that you're kind of doing it for them. Anyway, and in the same year, Dave had a nephew who he was paralyzed. I won't cry. I'll try not to cry. Anyway, and two, you feel like you're running for them, you know? So it was a good experience to kind of think about them. You do a lot of thinking in 100 miles. That's kind of what I love about running or doing long distance things. You have a lot of time to think, and I don't know. I do a lot of thinking and praying, and I even sing while I'm running. Anyway, it's kind of therapeutic.
Love, laugh, live.
Yeah, I sing love, laugh,
live.
Yeah.
You know, live, laugh, love.
You're right. In the leafy treetops, the birds sing good morning.
Yes.
You have a great voice, man.
That's
You
awesome.
do.
Hey, thanks. I've got my mic right here. I practice.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I'm fascinated by your father. Quick story. I'll tell a quick story about Dave. Dave, we were climbing up Mill Creek, right? We're riding. I'm with Barker, and you guys pass us, and I'm like, oh, Britons, we met them at Big Mountain. That's great. Adam says to me, go check his time up Mill Creek. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay. This was bad. I mean, this is 2015. I mean,
This
was
is
a
when we
while.
used to be fast. Yeah.
So I went and looked. It was 52 minutes from the bases, and I was like, impossible. Like, how is a human being getting to the top this fast in this canyon? And it was a real like motivation for me, Dave. Like, I didn't know anybody that could ride that hard, to ride that fast at Mill Creek Canyon. And from there, I was just like, well, they're on Tosh. I don't know them. I rarely saw you guys out and about. And then all of a sudden, we spend our winters together
Yeah.
doing the most ridiculous thing anyone could possibly conceive. Just suffering 1,000 deaths inside in my basement on a trainer together, just laughing at your text messaging the entire time.
Oh, dude,
I just
that changed. That was so awesome to get into Zwift. And I don't know how you even started. Did you start by yourself?
So I would ride Zwift with the Idaho crew here and there. And then we found out you can have meetups. So it was like me,
Brower,
Doug would join, Jake would join,
Sharp,
and then Sharp would join. Yeah. And so slowly over time, we were like, hey, and then then it was you. And then then Sharp invited AJ. And then that first winter, there was like 8 or 9 of us. And then, man, the rest is history. Just Andy started coming, Kristen, Camille, Cheryl, and the Zwift Light the World revolution was born.
It's been fun, man. It is painful, but oh, it's hilarious. There's some of the best times is laughing at poo poo pee pee jokes, and you might have to edit that, but it's so funny.
Dave, can you talk about your father and then your just what you hope to be? Like, I agree with Camille, you're the ultimate leader. There's sometimes when you're around people where I'm like, this is the guy I always want on my team. Like, this is the guy I want to follow. When I'm with you or when we're around, I'm like, this guy will take care of us. Like, he's going to be the leader, the example. Can you talk about that for a bit? Like how you decided to be that kind of man?
Oh, I think it probably has a lot to do with my dad. His name's Ralph. Ralph Brinton. He was kind of a legend in his own right. He never really got into biking, but he was a runner and he ran marathons like constantly. So he was up early, taking care of his body, running these sub-3 marathons. I think his PR was like a 2:48 or something like that.
Dang.
Super fast guy. And then he was really involved in our lives. So he coached football and then would come to all of our games. And I think he had a little flexible schedule, so that helps. And I feel bad. There's some people that just have to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or even more than that. And so, you have to find a way to do that. But Ralph was the scoutmaster, and he'd take us on these crazy adventures, like probably dangerous and like illegal now, but we'd go down to Lake Powell and crash boats and have to swim to shore, and then the boats would capsize and all of us would, nobody died. Or we'd hike Kings Peak and people would have mutinies and say, I want to go home and my dad's going to sue you because you're making us do these hard hikes. And Ralph was like, just brush it off and be like, all right, come on. If you can't stay here, you're going to die. So I guess that has directly influenced the way I try to interact with my kids. And yeah, even though scouting is kind of on the out and out, it taught me to be prepared and to, do a good turn daily, and to, the scout law and motto, those are good things, and mostly be prepared. I think, you have enough water, you have enough food, you make sure you know where you're going, you look at the weather. And I don't know, maybe sort of turns into an obsession, but Camille kind of enjoys that benefit. She's like, hey, where are we going today? And then my kids, I think, trust that I've taken them into some pretty scary stuff and we've come out alive. And over time, you build up that, street cred, so to speak.
Nice. You got a lot of it, dude.
I don't know.
Hey, come on. I offered you a signing bonus to come to Mi Duole from Tosh. So.
That was, dude, you and Jake were hilarious. Just like giving the hard sell and just like, come on, Dave. It's like, it felt like the missionaries, Mi Duole missionaries.
Yes. Andy, any questions for Dave? I'm gonna dig into.
Yeah. So Mr. Preparedness seems to get a lot of flat tires and stuff and using people's trail side. So talk to us a little about that, Dave.
Yes,
dude, this year, True Grit, I literally wanted to kill someone. Yeah, I flatted about 10 minutes into the race, had a crappy repair, flatted again, had to walk all the way down to, halfway through the race, and I was done. I was so mad at that point. I was like, I'm done. Let's just give up. And I probably was riding a bald tire that, but you know how flats are. They just happen. You can't prepare for them. So again, family, friends, Camille was like, no, you can do this. And so we threw a new tire on and I finished the rest of the race. I actually caught up to Davey, so my second son, and we finished, and it turned out to be a really great day until it was time for the podium. And sure enough, Andy Compass on the top step.
No, let's talk about something more important. So after the race, standing next to your wife, and she gets a little emotional, so you can grab out the Kleenex, but she was so happy that you had a crappy race because you ended up riding with Davey. And so watching the two of you guys come across the finish line just filled her cup. Like it was, if I could tell you what Camille's eyes were watching you and Davey come home, it was super cool. Like your whole day was for Davey. And that's the way Mr. David Brinton lives his life. It's always for somebody else. And I just want to, take my hat off or applaud and say, hey, there's a lot of times where you may be prepared, but your day didn't go the way it went, but you ended up making lemonade out of lemons, and your day turned out to be exactly what Davey needed, and your wife thought you were the king of the world, of course, which you are.
He is.
That's good perspective because at the time I was kind of mad about it, but I think looking back, that is what it's all about. And I know Stu and Stu's podcast, he was talking about being a, Olympic triathlete and getting the medals and all that kind of stuff. When really it's about doing your best. And sometimes your best puts you on the podium, which is awesome. But most of the time it doesn't. And that's, the Duelles are a good example of guys that just love to ride. And there's some pistols being pulled out and shot at other guys, but for the most part we keep them pretty holstered and just go out and have a good time. That's why I've enjoyed riding with you guys, and because you're hard and you're fast and you can win this stuff, but at the same time it's like, hey, this is just fun. It's about making relationships and helping each other along the way. And so that's a good perspective, Andy.
Dave, you are a beast. Let's not be humble about it. Yeah. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, let's expose, if you're willing. I mean, especially this spring, I felt like you were coming on just so strong. Is there anything you're doing different this year, or do you have a secret sauce that you do to keep so freaking fit?
No, man. Back in the day, we were faster, but no, I mean, Camille and I have tried to eat healthier. So normally I'm just garbage disposal, Culver's, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Arctic Circle, Nielsen's frozen custard.
Yes.
All, pizza. I love that stuff. But, for 40 days before Easter, there's that Catholic tradition of Lent. By the way, people thought we were Catholic for the longest time.
Zach West thought I was Catholic.
Zach West literally thought we were Catholic.
Which is fine.
So what'd you give up? Come on, I'm waiting. What'd you give up?
I give up every year sugar, and Dave would always say to me, we're not Catholic. We already give up so many other things. Why do you do this? But this year, I convinced him to do
So just eating healthier.
Just being healthy and eliminating all of the processed fast food.
Nice.
But it's, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a mental thing, but being 50 is like, I just don't have, I see Chris Harmon and you and these younger guys just like hammering it up Box Hill. And I'm just like, oh.
Hey.
But then you look at Andy Compass and AJ. I had to mention AJ. So it's just, that's like,
we haven't mentioned Sharp. He gets mentioned on everything. So
Everyone-
someone has
we
to
did
start.
already.
Sharp.
Sharp.
He's mentioned.
Sharp,
Got
Sharp.
him.
Okay,
Mi
good.
Duole Bingo. So all those dudes, but yeah, you're nice to say that. I'm trying. I try to keep in shape for Ben, like to keep up with Benjamin and David. So those young Nike racer guys, Andy knows this. They just like, they got extra testosterone or something.
They got rockets.
Yeah, they're fast. So that's my main motivation, is to keep up with the younger guys.
Cool. Nice. All right. Well, one more topic about your family activities, and then we can maybe move into some advice, although you guys have already given some great advice.
Yeah.
One thing I love about what you do is this white room. So last fall, will you just talk about white room, talk about your family going to white room, and then we'll maybe dig into what happened last fall.
I don't know, man. I think people are getting bored.
We'll wrap it up. Thanks a lot.
All right. That's just like, but yeah, the white rim is epic. I mean, it's got everything. It's got road, it's got climbs, it's got tech, and the vistas are unreal. So this is, every time I go, I call Andy and just like, why won't you come with me, Andy? Why?
Because you asked me like 3 days before usually.
It's like the cute girl you asked to prom and she says no every time. So just anyway, but the white rim's been fun. And I think we kind of should establish a little bit of a tradition. That weekend before Thanksgiving's been pretty solid, to just go down and ride it. And lately I've been taking Camille and Benjamin, and we did it one year with AJ and Scott Allen and Tyler Lamprecht. And then last year, a bunch of Duelles came. Taylor Cannon had to do the FKT because that's just how he is, man. He likes to hurt himself. Mm-hmm. But we've got it down pretty good to a science. And there's sort of this argument of, is it better to ride counterclockwise or clockwise? Is it better to start at the bottom of Schaefer? Is it better to start at the bottom of Horse Thief? And, I don't know if there's the right answer. But I've liked starting at the bottom of Schaefer. You do this like 2,000 foot climb right in the beginning, which, may not be the smartest thing to do, but you hit that in the dark, you ride along the road, drop into Horse Thief, and then you're on the white rim for about 90 miles. And it's just, it's an epic day that a lot can go wrong, but if you're prepared, a lot goes right. You do it unsupported. So if you get too many flats and you can't repair it, or, you run out of water, or it's too hot. One time Camille and I did it, and it was so hot that I pulled a Taylor Cannon and just like crashed at the end, needed IV fluids. Camille was like gonna take me to the hospital, but he was
passing out after vomiting the whole
Oh my God. Nice, Dave.
Blacking out. And so I had to stop at this. We have an ER physician in our ward. I stopped off and grabbed 2 bags of IV fluids and gave Dave 2 bags at home. As he crawled up the stairs and laid on our bedroom floor.
Oh,
it was worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah.
But that's, the white rim's kind of one of those things you should put on your bucket list. And
it's amazing.
All right. Can we talk about your fall trip then?
Yes. Yeah. Get ready for it.
Go ahead.
We're going to do it. We'll start sending out text, early invite to Andy Compass.
Let's do it.
Just 3 days before, expect it.
And but Camille, I know Camille, Camille, explain your Queen of the Mountain that you got. I know you guys had a goal in November, like a time goal. Can you talk about that real quick?
So I had done the it's not the FKT that I have the queen on. I wish that was the
It's
one
the
that I have.
original
It's the
FKT.
original FKT that I have the queen on. But we had done it in 2019 and I had gotten the queen, but then someone took it by 1 minute.
Oh,
So going down in 2021, that was kind of my goal. Like, I'm going to beat that time, which I think it was 8:40. And then I was able to get 8:30. So
Who's someone? Someone has to have a name. You had to have thought of her all day long.
I don't know what her name is, but I know the girl that has the FKT, Hannah Wood, but I will never have that one. So,
But we were kind of
Anyway.
on a mission. So yeah, I'm, Camille's the queen, I'm the jester. And, I'm handing her food and, and just helping her. And, so it was a good team effort. And it's Camille's pretty amazing to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I'm just happy to be like I am Camille's husband. That's how everybody.
I think you are telling us that you are Kamala's Doug, Camille's Dave, is
That's
Doug
right.
Harris,
Kamala,
the gentleman.
First gentleman.
everybody,
There you go.
everybody needs a Dave, I say.
first
My
gentleman.
kids are lucky. He's all of our biggest fans. So
That
it's
means
good.
spawns. I have to pay for all their bleep.
He's our sponsor.
So much of my paycheck goes
best
to bikes.
sponsor ever.
So good. Well, I know you guys have been around a lot of sports, a lot of athletes. Could you just share some advice? Like, you're looking at this group of Duoles and you're saying to yourself, oh man, if I could be back, some of these guys are like 20, early 20s, 20, late 20. What would you say to some of them? It doesn't matter. Cycling advice, family advice, training advice, anything you want to just let them have it.
Yeah, I think most of the guys I interact with have a pretty good perspective on sticking with their kids, and spending Saturdays at youth sports and, taking your kids up skiing. Like, you look at Charles Sharp and Chris Harmon and Adam Barker and, Jason Lang. These guys are all giving up time they could be out doing, 8-hour rides on Saturday. And, Stu, obviously you as well. And you guys are just, I think that's important, because I saw a post, I think it was Chris, and he was holding the hand of his 6-year-old walking up the trail. And I was like, dude, my kids won't hold my hand anymore. And those days you can't get back, or they won't let me give them hugs anymore. And so I would, for the younger guys that have little kids, just put the time in and suffer. I hated skiing for like 5-6 years because it's painful and they hate putting their boots on. They can't carry their skis and they're crying and it's expensive, and but it's worth it. Like, if you just kind of stick it out for 4, 5, 6 more years, even on the mountain bike, same thing, then in the end they're like, hey dad, let's go skiing or let's go mountain biking. And then one day they're going to crush your soul as you go up Puke Hill on the crest, and from there it's just wave as they leave you in the dust.
I love
Well,
that.
and I would add that each one of those guys you mentioned, plus Todd Raker, who
Yes.
when they do their early morning ride and then they go and spend the rest of the day with the kids. And I love the pictures that they throw up on Strava, as like you said, holding their hands. And I can't hold my kids' hands either, but Raker's always got a picture of him riding down the road with a kid on a bike coming, along with him. So they're doing it right. You're absolutely right, Dave.
But let's be honest, Dave, don't forget cue ineffective dad syndrome for the rest of that Saturday.
That is true. And, you get a pass for that, but ineffective dad syndrome is real. Many people suffer from it. Talk to your doctor.
Let's watch another movie.
I can't move.
Camille, how about you?
Elmo, I love it.
What
I love it. Again,
What about you,
again.
Camille?
I don't know. I just think I don't take yourself too seriously. And I remember one lady that I worked with that was way into her triathlons. And one day she was telling me she gave it up, and she said the thing that she realized is the only person that cared about any of her race results was herself. And I feel like sometimes we think everybody else is looking at us and we care what everybody thinks, but really you should just do it just for yourself. So I think if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it, then try something else and really just do it for yourself and do it. I don't know.
You do
Don't
know,
worry.
that's good.
Don't
yeah.
worry about what other people think.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
And Camille embodies the "this is the way," right? Like
I
it's on her
love this
bike.
way.
It's on her bike. Those who don't know, it's painted on her bike.
Yeah.
New Orbea.
Yeah, that's my, yeah, this is the way. And I don't know. And teaching your kids to do hard things is a good thing. So.
I love that. Yeah, it's tough to do if you're a total wuss, and you guys are not wussies. I just love to watch you and your family, and, you know, getting flats on the Vail Loop. It was destiny. Me and Kristen got to ride with you at camp.
That was beautiful, man.
That was fun.
That was awesome. So any parting words, any final thoughts, everybody, as we wrap up our evening?
No, it's just been so good to talk to you guys. I really appreciate you opening your arms and bringing me onto Zwift. And Andy Compass, awesome guy, great co-host podcast. Maybe he should be a regular.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, we just are grateful to be part of the team and enjoy riding with you guys. Look forward to many more sunny days. I don't like riding in the cold, dark, but you know, we'll get there.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Andy?
No, these guys are class act. number one.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we need to go out and just have dinner because I enjoy talking to you guys. But yeah, sometimes people get sick of hearing my voice. And I know this was all set up for Camille, so
No, it wasn't.
thanks for coming to the Camille show. I'm just here as a jester.
All right. Well, this is the end of episode 1. This is a 2-part series. We'll come back with the next series. All right. All right. Thank you, Brintons. Love you guys.
Okay, love you too.
Thank
See
you, Andy.
Love you.